Why I'm speaking up. A close call that changed everything. I never thought I'd be the one telling this kind of story. Honestly, if you had asked me a few years ago, I would have said, I'm doing just fine. Thank you very much. I walked, with confidence, climbed stairs without holding the railing, and didn't think twice about stepping into the shower. But things change. And sometimes, they change fast. It happened on an ordinary Tuesday morning. I remember it clearly because it started out like any other day. I got up, made myself a cup of tea, read a few pages of the newspaper, and decided to take a quick shower before heading out for my morning walk. No big deal, right? Well, it turned into a very big deal. I stepped into the bathroom, and as usual, the tiles were a bit wet from the night before. I told myself, I've walked on this floor for decades. I know it better than the back of my hand. That overconfidence, that quiet assumption that nothing would ever go wrong, nearly cost me everything. As I stepped into the tub, I slipped. Not a little stumble, not a soft slide. No, it was the kind of fall where time slows down. 1 second, I was standing tall, and the next, I was crashing down hard on the edge of the bathtub. The pain was immediate, sharp, and terrifying. I couldn't move for several seconds. My breath caught in my throat, and my first thought was, is this how it ends? Alone on a cold bathroom floor? I didn't break any bones, thank God. But I was bruised, physically, emotionally, and mentally. And something in me changed that day. I realized how fragile life becomes after 65, how quickly a small mistake can become a life-altering event. The strange thing is, I had heard people talk about bathroom safety before. Doctors, family members, friends, they all warned me, but I brushed it off, thinking it only applied to older folks, not me. I felt strong, sharp, capable. And maybe I still was. But the bathroom doesn't care how confident you feel. That fall humbled me. It made me rethink everything I thought I knew about aging safely and living independently. And I realized I'd been making mistakes. Mistakes I didn't even see as dangerous until they nearly took away my freedom. That's why I'm speaking up now. Not because I like to talk about personal pain. Not because I want sympathy. But because I know there are others out there, just like I was, feeling confident, maybe a little stubborn, and totally unaware of the risks that come with everyday bathroom routines. People who think they're still invincible. I'm here to tell you, we're not invincible. But we're not powerless either. There are real, fatal mistakes many of us make in the bathroom after 65, and they're not always obvious. Some of them come from habit. Some come from pride, and some come from just not knowing what to watch out for. I made all three, and I was lucky to walk away with just bruises and a serious wake-up call. But not everyone is that lucky. After my fall, I started reading. I talked to my doctor, to physical therapists, to other seniors who'd been through even worse, and I noticed a pattern, 3 common mistakes that kept showing up in story after story, injury after injury. These weren't rare or bizarre accidents. These were everyday choices, everyday oversights that had the power to change lives in an instant. So if you're reading this and you're over 65 or you have someone in your life who is, please take a moment and really hear me. This isn't about scaring anyone. It's about waking up before it's too late. Because I wish someone had told me this story before I found myself lying on that cold, hard floor, staring at the ceiling, wondering if I'd be able to get back up. Let me be that voice for you. Let me share with you the 3 mistakes I made and what I've learned since that morning. You may be surprised at how simple they are and how deadly they can become if left unaddressed. Stay with me. You may just save yourself or someone you love from going through what I did. The first mistake I didn't see coming until it nearly broke me. After my fall, the first thing I felt, other than pain, was disbelief. How could this happen to me? I wasn't careless, I wasn't frail, and yet, there I was, sitting on The bathroom floor, my pride more wounded than my body. When I eventually gathered myself, the question that haunted me was, what exactly went wrong? That led me to uncover the first fatal bathroom mistake. And trust me, I didn't see it coming. But now I know, and I can't keep this to myself. Mistake number 1. Trusting my balance. More than I should have. If you had told me that my balance wasn't as good as it used to be, I would have laughed and said, "Watch me carry 2 bags of groceries from the car." But balance isn't just about strength. It's about reaction time, coordination, and yes, humility. See, the aging process is sneaky. It doesn't announce its arrival with trumpets. It creeps in little by little. At first, maybe you reach for the wall without realizing it. Or you lose your footing for a split second when getting up from the couch. You brush it off. Just tired. Just a long day. Just need to stretch more. But in truth, your internal balance system, the one that kept you steady for decades, is starting to slip. In the bathroom, this becomes a silent hazard. There are no carpeted floors or soft cushions. It's all tile, porcelain, glass, and metal. One wrong move and you're not just falling, you're crashing. And that's exactly what happened to me. I had one of those old bathtubs with a slick, curved surface. I'd been stepping in and out of it for years without a second thought. But that morning, when I lost my footing, I realized something. I had no support. No grab bars, no anti-slip mat. Nothing to brace myself on. I had trusted my body to perform like it always had. But at 68, it didn't. And the fall was the result of that misplaced trust. I later learned from my doctor that our inner ear, the system responsible for balance, deteriorates with age. The brain's response time slows down just slightly, and the muscles that once instinctively tightened to prevent a fall now hesitate for half a second. That half second, it can be the difference between a slip and a serious injury. What made it worse was my ego. I thought installing grab bars or using a shower chair meant I was giving up, admitting I was old. But you know what's really giving up? Refusing to protect yourself out of pride. That's the hard truth I had to swallow after the fall. My daughter came over. When she saw the bathroom, her face said it all. "Dad, how are you even using this safely?" she asked. I didn't have an answer. That night I lay in bed replaying the fall again and again. I realized something very important. It wasn't just a fall, it was a warning. And this warning wasn't just for me. It was for anyone over 65 still walking into their bathroom thinking they're 35. I did some research, looked up senior safety recommendations, spoke with occupational therapists, and read heartbreaking stories of people who weren't. As lucky as I was, I discovered this shocking statistic. Most falls after 65 happen in or near the bathroom. Not on the stairs, not outside. Right there in the most familiar space in your home. Why? Because it's the room we underestimate the most. So what did I do? The very next weekend, I made changes. And not just little ones. I went full-on safety mode. I installed grab bars, not just one, but 2. One near the toilet and one by the tub. I bought a non-slip shower mat and a rubber mat for the bathroom floor. No more skating rink tiles for me. I got a shower chair, one with a backrest and rubber grips. Sitting down to shower felt strange at first, but you know what felt better? Not being terrified of falling again. I raised the toilet seat. A simple change, but it made getting up so much easier and less risky. These changes didn't make me feel old. They made me feel smart, prepared, alive. Because here's the truth. Aging isn't about surrendering, it's about adapting. Once I let go of my pride and started making choices that supported the reality of my body, not the memory of it, I felt free, safer, more confident. And best of all, I could be independent again, without gambling with my life. If you're reading this and thinking, I'm still steady on my feet, I hear you. I thought the same thing. But balance isn't just about today. It's about what could happen tomorrow. And in the bathroom, you don't get a second chance to learn that lesson safely. Looking back, the fall wasn't the worst part. It was the fact that it was preventable, that I'd ignored the subtle signs, that I'd failed to prepare the one. Room in the house where a mistake can literally be fatal. So, here's my advice to anyone over 65. Don't wait for a fall to teach you this lesson. If you feel even slightly unsure on your feet, fix it now. Add support, reduce risk, swallow your pride and protect your life. I didn't see this mistake coming, but now that I have, I hope I can help you see it before it's too late. The second mistake that creeps in with age, and why I ignored the signs. Let me tell you something I learned the hard way. Not all dangers in the bathroom come from slipping. Some of them are far quieter. They don't leave bruises or broken bones right away, but over time they chip away at your strength, your safety, and eventually your independence. That brings me to the second fatal bathroom mistake I made, and it's one that creeps up slowly, like fog on a windshield. You don't notice it until suddenly you can't see clearly, and by then it might already be too late. Mistake number 2, ignoring my decreasing strength and stamina. Now, this one's personal. And if you're anything like me, it might hit a little, close to home. For most of my life, I prided myself on being strong. I carried my own groceries, helped friends move furniture, mowed the lawn every week. I was always that guy who said, I don't need help, I've got it. So when I started noticing small things, my arms getting tired while washing my hair, or feeling winded just drying myself off after a shower, I dismissed them. I chalked it up to a long day. Maybe I didn't sleep well. Maybe I needed more coffee. But the truth? My muscles were weakening, not dramatically, not overnight, but slowly. I wasn't as steady when bending down to dry my legs. I started leaning more against the sink when brushing my teeth. I'd occasionally get lightheaded. When standing up from the toilet too quickly, I ignored all of it. I thought if I didn't acknowledge it, it wasn't real. But weakness doesn't need your permission. It doesn't care how young you feel in your heart. It comes with age. It comes with time. And in the bathroom, where we twist, bend, and balance, more than we realize, it can become dangerous. One day, not long after my first fall, I had another close call. I was stepping out of the shower, towel wrapped around me, when I reached down to grab the bath mat I had accidentally kicked aside. As I leaned forward, my legs wobbled. My knee buckled ever so slightly. I didn't fall, but I stumbled just enough to scare myself. It hit me then. I didn't have the strength I once did to support these small movements. This mistake, ignoring the slow decline in strength, nearly caused a second accident. That's when I knew I had to make a change. I went to see my doctor again, this time not for bruises, but to talk about what I was feeling. She nodded like she'd heard it 1,000 times before, and she had. She told me that after 65, we naturally begin to lose muscle mass, a condition called sarcopenia. Even if we're active, it happens, and the less we pay attention to it, the faster it can escalate. Weak thigh muscles make it harder to stand. Weak arms make it hard to support ourselves. Even basic things, like lifting your leg over the bathtub, can become difficult without you realizing why. That's when it all made sense. It wasn't just that I fell. It's that I didn't have the strength to catch myself. So here's what I did, and what I beg you to consider doing too. I started simple strength exercises at home. Just 10 minutes a day. Squats by the wall, leg lifts while holding onto the kitchen counter, light resistance bands. It wasn't about building muscles like I was 25. It was about building stability. I worked on my grip strength. Sounds silly, but it matters. Weak grip, poor control. You might not even be able to hold yourself up if you reach for the sink, or a grab bar in a panic. So I started squeezing a tennis ball during TV time just to keep those muscles active. I slowed down. I used to rush through my routine, quick shower, fast shave, out the door. But when you're aging, rushing becomes risky. I started sitting down to shave. I took breaks while drying off. It felt strange at first, but now I feel safer, more in control. I added a raised toilet seat with armrests, not because I couldn't get up, but because I didn't want to struggle to get up. That strain, that unsteady moment, it's where many accidents happen. A little support made a huge difference. You see, this mistake wasn't about ignoring pain. It was about ignoring weakness. That's much harder to admit because it happens so gradually. You can still walk. You can still move. But the strength behind those movements is fading. And in the bathroom, there's no room for error. I know some of you reading this are shaking your head right now. I was that person too. I don't need help. I'm still strong. Maybe you are, for now. But aging isn't about waiting for weakness to hit you in the face. It's about preparing for it before it does. If I had started strengthening exercises a year earlier, I might not have fallen at all. If I'd recognized the signs, arms tiring, during a shower, legs trembling during a squat, I could have acted before it became dangerous. That's why I'm telling you this. Because it's not too late to make small, meaningful changes. And those changes could be the very thing that keeps you safe, standing, and strong. Looking back, this second mistake was the most deceptive one. There was no big event, no loud warning, just a quiet decline, a slow fade. And if I hadn't paid attention, it might have led to a second fall, or worse. So ask yourself, are your legs just a little shakier than they used to be? Do you lean on the counter without realizing it? Do you feel tired after something as simple as brushing your hair or drying off? If so, don't ignore it. Don't brush it off like I did, because this mistake doesn't come all at once. It sneaks up. And by the time you realize your strength is gone, you may already be facing the consequences. But if you act now, you can stop it. You can rebuild. You can stay safe. Just don't wait like I did. The third mistake. That almost cost me my dignity. There's a kind of silence that follows you after a fall. It's not just the absence of sound. It's the presence of fear, embarrassment, and something harder to talk about. Shame. I didn't just feel physically bruised after that incident in the bathroom. I felt like I had lost a piece of myself. And that's when I came face to face with the third fatal bathroom mistake, one that nearly cost me more than my balance. It nearly cost me my dignity. Mistake number 3, pretending I didn't need help, even when I clearly did. Let me say this plainly. I was too proud to admit I needed help, and I paid the price for it. After my fall, my daughter suggested I stay with her for a few weeks, just until I got my footing back, literally and figuratively. I refused. I'm fine, I told her. I just slipped. That's all. I said it with a smile, but inside, I was terrified that she might start seeing me as a burden. So I stayed alone in my home, healing slowly. My movements were cautious. Every time I walked into the bathroom, I hesitated. I started taking sponge baths instead of showers. I avoided shaving as often. I stopped using the bathtub entirely. Not because I didn't want to, but because I was scared I wouldn't be able to get out. Still, I told no one. Why? Because like so many of us, I was taught to be self-reliant, to manage on my own, to keep my struggles to myself. I didn't want my children worrying about me. I didn't want anyone thinking I was losing my independence. But the truth? Independence doesn't mean refusing help. It means knowing when to ask for it. What I didn't realize at the time is that denying help isn't strength. It's fear dressed up as pride. And I almost let that fear strip me of something I value deeply, my self-respect. I'll never forget one particular morning. I woke up, stiff and sore, but determined to get back to normal. I told myself I'd take a full shower like I used to. No chair, no help, just me and my stubborn will. As I undressed and stepped into the tub, a terrible thought hit me. What if I can't get back out? My heart started racing. I hadn't even turned on the water yet. I froze, 1 foot in, 1 foot out, trying to figure out how I'd explain this if something went wrong. Who would I call? Would I even reach my phone? I stepped back out, defeated. I sat on the edge of my bed and cried. Not because I was hurt, but because I felt helpless and ashamed. That was the moment I realized. Pretending to be fine when you're not only leads to isolation, and when you're isolated, dignity slips through your fingers. Later that week, I finally opened up to my daughter. I told her the truth. Not just about the fear, but about how difficult even small things had become. She didn't shame me. She didn't overreact. She simply listened. Then she said something that stuck with me. Needing help doesn't make you weak, Dad. It makes you smart. It means you want to keep living safely and fully. I sat with that for a long time. So here's what I want to say to anyone reading this who's over 65, living alone, and quietly struggling in the bathroom. You're not weak for needing help. You're wise for recognizing it. Let me walk you through the changes I made, not out of defeat, but out of self-respect. I installed a medical alert button in the bathroom. It wasn't about expecting disaster. It was about preparing. 1. Slip, one faint moment, and you may not have the strength to crawl for a phone. A waterproof emergency button next to the tub changed that for me. I hope I never need it, but I'm glad it's there. I accepted help with hygiene at. First, I was mortified. My daughter offered to help me clean certain hard-to-reach areas until I recovered. That was a line I didn't want to cross, but you know what? She did it with grace and no judgment. It was temporary and it gave me time to heal safely. Dignity isn't about doing everything yourself. It's about preserving your well-being with support. I started using bathroom tools designed for independence, long-handled sponges, no-bend foot scrubbers, toilet seat risers. There's no shame in using tools. You wouldn't climb a mountain without gear, would you? Well, navigating aging is a kind of mountain. And every little tool is like a rope, keeping you from falling. I created a dignity routine I now keep fresh. Towels, soft lighting, and calming music in my bathroom. Why? Because these small comforts help me feel human. The bathroom doesn't have to be a place of stress and struggle. It can be a place of peace, and that shift in mindset changed everything for me. This third mistake, pretending I didn't need help, wasn't about physical danger alone. It was about emotional danger. I almost let my fear of being seen as old push me into silence. And silence is where dignity dies. But opening up, accepting help, making changes, that's where dignity is reborn. Now I move through my bathroom with confidence. Not the reckless confidence I once had, but the quiet, wise kind. The kind that comes from knowing I've prepared for the reality of who I am today, not who I was 20 years ago. I wish someone had told me sooner that dignity doesn't mean hiding your struggles. It means facing them with courage. It means choosing safety over secrecy, adaptation over pride. So let me be that voice for you. If you're struggling, even a little, don't wait until it becomes too big to hide. Talk to someone. Get the support you need. Modify your space. Use the tools. Call the people who care about you. You haven't lost your dignity. You've just got to fight for it in a new way. What I did differently, and how you can stay safe. 2. If you've made it this far with me, thank you. I know this hasn't been easy to read because it wasn't easy to live. But that's exactly why I'm sharing it. I don't want you, or anyone else over 65, to wait for a painful wake-up call like I did. So now that I've told you about the 3 major mistakes I made in the bathroom after 65, slipping and falling, ignoring my weakening body and pretending I didn't need help. Let me tell you what I did differently after that. Because once I accepted the reality of aging, I realized I wasn't helpless. In fact, I had more control than I ever thought possible. Here's exactly how I took my power back, and how you can too. Step 1. I transformed my bathroom into a safety zone. My bathroom used to be a battlefield. Now it's my sanctuary. The first thing I did was walk through the space, not as I used to, but as I was now. I imagined what could go wrong at each step, getting in and out of the shower, sitting on the toilet, even reaching for my towel. Then I made changes. Grab bars were installed, next to the toilet, inside the shower, and even just outside the tub. Not the ugly hospital kind either. There are sleek, modern designs that don't make your bathroom look like a clinic. Non-slip. Mats replaced my fluffy old bath rug. I loved that rug, but it was a trap. Now I have firm rubber-backed mats that grip the floor like glue, even when wet. A shower chair and handheld shower head changed everything. Sitting to shower wasn't just safer. It was more relaxing. I no longer worried about slipping when I closed my eyes or reached for soap, raised toilet seat with handles. That little boost made it easier to sit and stand without straining or wobbling. Every item I added had one purpose, not just to keep me safe, but to help me feel capable again. And let me tell you, there's no better feeling. Step 2, I started a simple strength routine and stuck with it as. I mentioned before, one of my biggest mistakes was ignoring my body's gradual decline. But once I accepted that it was happening, I realized I could fight back, not with denial, but with intention. I started small, 2-pound weights while watching the news, chair squats by the kitchen sink, calf raises while brushing my teeth. It didn't take a gym. It didn't take an hour a day. All it took was consistency. After 3 weeks, I noticed I could lift my legs higher without wobbling. I could step over the tub with more control. Even getting out of bed felt easier. That's when I added balance. Exercises, like standing on one foot while holding the back of a chair. Sounds simple, but it retrained my body to stabilize itself. These tiny efforts became my daily ritual, and they gave me back something I thought I'd lost: confidence in my body. Step 3. I changed how I think about aging and independence. This might be the biggest shift of all. I used to think asking for help meant I was slipping, like I was giving up. But the truth is, asking for help is the most independent thing you can do. It means you care enough about your life to protect it. I now talk openly with my family about my needs. I made an emergency plan. I even wear a smart watch with fall detection now, not because I expect the worst, but because I'm finally smart enough to prepare for it. Instead of hiding my vulnerabilities, I manage them. And you know what? I've never felt more in control. Step 4. I created a bathroom safety checklist. I want to share this with you because I wish someone had shared it with me before things went wrong. Here's my personal checklist. Feel free to copy it, print it, and go through it today. Grab bars installed near toilet and shower, non-slip mats on every floor surface, shower chair and handheld shower head, raised toilet seat with armrests, bright lighting with easy-to-reach switches, items like soap and towels stored at waist height, no bending or stretching emergency alert button or waterproof medical device, rug removed or taped down, no clutter, clear open space to move safely, daily strength and a balance routine in place go down this list. Even one missing item could be the difference between safety and injury. Step 5. I started talking about it. This might sound strange, but I didn't want my story to just be a warning. I wanted it to be a conversation starter, so I began sharing it with friends. At first, they laughed it off. "You're not that old," they'd say. But then a few admitted they'd had similar scares. A fall in the shower, a dizzy spell, trouble, getting off the toilet. One friend even said, "You know, I've been too embarrassed to tell anyone, but I actually crawl to the bathroom at night sometimes just to feel safer." That broke my heart, and lit a fire in me. So now I speak up. I tell my story at community meetings. I help others set up their bathrooms for safety. And that's how I turned my mistakes into a mission, because when we talk about these things, we take away the shame. And in its place, we build wisdom, courage, and community. Final thoughts. Don't wait for a fall to make a change. I'll leave you with this. I thought I was being tough by pretending nothing had changed. But real toughness? It's looking life in the eye and saying, I'm going to adapt no matter what. Don't wait for a slip, a fracture, or a hospital visit to wake you up. Take the steps today. They're small, they're simple, and they could save your life or the life of someone you love. I made 3 fatal bathroom mistakes after 65, but I turned them into 3 powerful lessons and 5 life-saving changes. Now, my bathroom is no longer a danger zone. It's a place of safety, comfort, and independence. And best of all, I've regained something I thought I'd lost. My dignity, my confidence, my peace of mind.